It is Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I am Maurice Patton. That is Wade Neely. Welcome to the show. We will be here for the next couple of hours talking about sports topics of local, regional, and national, maybe even international import, spreading our wings a little bit. So stick around. It's going to be fun, as it always is. As Wade and I try to stay awake because our day got started early today.
Yeah, kick it into high gear early on this Thursday, Mr. Patton.
Yeah, no doubt. Wade and I were co-hosts at the Main Street Murray Awards that tipped off at 8 o'clock this morning over at Columbia State. Recognized a lot of retail outlets, among other things, in and around Columbia. So congratulations to everybody that we recognized as a result of our readers vote. So a lot of nice folks got some recognition earlier today through the Main Street Murray Awards, and we'll have more on that in an upcoming Main Street Murray and on our Facebook page and that kind of thing, so you can check and see who some of our honorees were. But that was a nice function, if early. So again, been a long day. Wade, I was working from my recliner before the show, and if I could have figured out how to rig it up, I'd have been doing the show from there because I was awfully comfortable. But here we are in the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, our typical home studios. Again, no recliners involved, unfortunately. Might be just as well because I might fall asleep. But Wade, other than the early start, how's your Thursday to this point?
Hey, Thursday's been good. We got a lot to get into today. You mentioned the Main Street Murray Awards were a big hit. We got to recognize a lot of cool businesses, a lot of great folks, but most importantly, we got everybody's picture. They got their picture with their awards, so now they can show off to all their friends and family and patrons there that they're a proud recipient of the Main Street Awards, and it was a good time. Yeah, Columbia State was popping this morning, and a lot of sports has been popping already. As we got a lot to dive into, including a couple good segments coming up here in this first hour.
Absolutely. We got a lot to get into. In the next hour, we will be joined by NUBYJAS WILBORN of alltitans.com because, you know, the Titans like to make a little news at some odd times. I mean, there's nothing going on out at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, but here they go with something. So we've got another addition to the roster, and it looks as if it will be another good one, as have most of them been to this point in this offseason with General Manager Rand Carthon. So we'll be getting NUBYJAS's take on the latest edition. In the next segment, we will visit with Bill Riddle, tennis coach down at UT Southern. Apparently he took a little field trip here not long ago, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about that. Should be fun. We'll also be talking some Braves, some Major League Baseball. The home run derby field is complete. We will get you the final 2 entries there. We'll close the show with the grab bag, and there's a lot in there. I'm looking forward to that. And also, again, it is Throwback Thursday, and we're going to throw it back. It'll be a short throw, maybe a toss, to Tuesday's visit with Lewisburg native, former Columbia Academy standout KAVARES Tears. I really enjoyed the time that we were able to spend with him Tuesday at KAVARES Tears Day down in Lewisburg. So we're gonna re-air that at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. So again, big show, a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff to get into. And I guess, Wade, we should probably go ahead and get into it with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Buckle up, boys and girls. The Thursday rundown is underway. Major League Baseball scores from last night. It was the Astros defeating the Marlins 9-1 was your final there. The Diamondbacks defeated the Braves 7-5. In minor league baseball action, it was the Sounds defeating Iowa 11-2 was your score there. And we gave you guys a few of these yesterday, but here's your full scoreboard from yesterday's WNBA action. Liberty knocked off the Sun 71-68. It was the Mystics over the Fever 89-84. Chicago defeats Atlanta 78-69. The Aces defeated the Storm in a big Western Conference showdown 84-79. And Phoenix knocks off Dallas 100-84.
Major League Baseball action today at 7:10. The Astros continue their series at Minute Maid Park against the Marlins. At 8:40, the Braves continue their series against the Diamondbacks out at Chase Field. And man, that's part of the reason I'm dragging. But anyway, that game will be seen on the MLB Network and on Bally Sports South, so be sure and look out for that. 6:35 over at First Horizon Park, the Sounds take on Iowa yet again. In WNBA action at 6 o'clock tonight or this evening, it's the Chicago Sky at the New York Liberty. You can see it on Amazon Prime, and that is your rundown. Top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch items that are available until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And, you know, it's been talked about since the U.S. men's soccer team kind of caved in during Copa America, and yesterday it finally happened. Greg Berhalter, well, you won't have him to kick around anymore. The U.S. men's national team scored just 3 points in the group stage. Couple of disappointing losses, and Berhalter relieved after 5 years over 2 separate stints, but it was the second 10-month stretch that really did him in. And again, the performance in the Copa America with the loss to Panama and Uruguay. More about Uruguay later in the show, by the way. But after a post-tournament review that was said to be comprehensive, the Federation relieved Berhalter of his duties, according to this article on yahoosports.com. Wade, as our resident soccer expert, I mean, this doesn't come as any surprise, I don't guess.
No, I don't think so. A lot of fans had kind of been on the fence about Greg Berhalter. You know, we had mentioned on this show previously that, you know, when you're the coach of an international team, you usually get a 4 to 5 year window, maybe at the most, unless you're just producing just an insane run, you know, like a multi-World Cup type situation. And you can look at it that way, but also the other way to look at this is Berhalter had some success, but also had a lot of just weird ups and downs throughout his tenure, had some off the field issues that kind of a lot of fans weren't sure if he should have been brought back to begin with. So in a weird way, this just seems like a natural and inevitable end that he bows out in the group stage of the Copa America. It's the first time the U.S. has ever not made it out of the group stage in a tournament that they have hosted. So home field advantage, in a sense, in this tournament did not yield the benefits that USMNT was looking for. And so Berhalter is out. Probably not a huge shock, but now kind of the real question is what is the U.S. Soccer Federation going to do going forward here as they try and bring in a replacement for this next cycle? Because, again, we're hosting the World Cup in 2 years, and you want to have a top-notch team by the time that rolls around.
So how do you go about securing an individual that can assure that?
Well, you know, that's going to be a great question. And in addition to just trying to attract a candidate, you know, the U.S. women's national team and the Soccer Federation, you kind of got a nip and tuck type situation going on in terms of equal pay for players, which has been in the headlines obviously for a number of years. And it would look kind of odd if the U.S. goes out. Their main target is Jurgen Klopp, who's been otherworldly at Liverpool for the last 7 seasons, but he has now stepped away. And to throw the money at him that you probably would have to get him in, that kind of opens up, a Pandora's box again for the Soccer Federation of the equal pay situation. And they just hired a new coach themselves. So however that works out, it'll be interesting. And I don't know that they're going to get Klopp. Klopp would be outstanding. And even as an Everton fan, I'm contractually obligated, as I like to say, to despise all things Liverpool. I would love Jurgen Klopp as the head coach. He brings just this crazy, infectious energy. He's kind of, as I told a friend today, he's kind of like a Sean McVay. Still relatively young, still very, very exciting, but man, he can really, really coach. He would be the dream candidate. I don't know that they'll get that dream candidate for a number of reasons. So you're probably going to have to look down the pecking order. And it'll be – I'm glad I'm not on the search committee because it seems like a situation if you don't get Klopp, you're probably going to get roasted for whoever you do hire. And so for that, at least I'm thankful that I'm not part of that committee here.
I'm looking at this article again on yahoosports.com from yesterday that initially broke this or addressed Berhalter's departure. And one of the names mentioned is France women's coach Hervé Renard, expected to leave that post after the upcoming Olympics in Paris because he is eyeing a 3rd men's World Cup after previously coaching Morocco and Saudi Arabia, which I guess brings up the question, xenophobia aside, I mean, and you mentioned Klopp, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but what is the importance of hiring a U.S. coach as opposed to an international coach, or is there any?
I think for any fan that is looking for success, they've kind of long tossed that potential phobia out the window. The only problem is, and U.S. has done a great job of promoting, Greg Berhalter himself, promoting up the ranks in the MLS and other leagues here in America. The only problem is you're facing the opposite of that. How many top-tier coaches want to come to the U.S., which – I'm not going to say is a dumpster fire, but they've really had some mismanagement going.
You can smell the
90s.
smoke, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so why would you come over to America, coach the national team, which is on talent alone, punching below the rest of the world, but you could maybe coach them up a little bit, or maybe I'll just stay and I'll just be the Belgium head coach, or maybe I'll just, take a nice cushy job in a league in France somewhere. The appeal of coming to America is maybe not quite there for the rest of the world in terms of soccer managing. The thing with Klopp, though, is he kind of is burnt out on Liverpool. That's why he stepped away. America, as we've seen, can draw some international talent. Maybe it could be enough this time to draw an international manager as well.
So what you're saying is in college football terms, Team USA is kind of a Kansas as opposed to, say, a Ohio State or a Michigan or somebody like that?
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we're you got to go all the way back. What is it? 1936 is still the best U.S. finish in a World Cup. We got 3rd, but that was also, I think, the first World Cup. So the U.S. has not really been a soccer powerhouse. 1938 World Cup. So they punched above their weight with American managers for a long, long time. And a lot of folks think that bringing in an international manager of a high caliber would be enough to maybe get them to that next threshold. The only problem is, how do you convince them to come over? It's kind of a, chicken egg type situation.
Mm-hmm.
Klopp could be the guy. He's at the top of everybody's list. I think ESPN had a kind of like a power rankings. He was number 1 for sure. But in that same power rankings, it said percent chance, that this comes to pass. And he was listed somewhere around 20% in the graphic that I saw. So would be really, really neat. Would be very exciting. I just don't know that it'll pan out. Maybe the U.S. can pull one off. They hired Jurgen Klinsmann several years ago, which was kind of a shock. Maybe they could do it again with Klopp here.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I mean, there's a chance. And, like I said, that appeal of coming to America is strong for some managers, because the expectations are a little bit lower. It kind of to use that college football analogy, if you coach the French national team and you lose one or two matches, they're calling for your head, kind of like if you're the head coach at Alabama and you only win 10 ball games.
Right.
Whereas you go to Washington, Kalen DeBoer type situation, or America in this case, and you win 10 games, they're ready to build a statue of you.
Statues. Yeah.
It'll be fascinating to see how it plays out. But I do think Berhalter kind of had to go just because his cycle had kind of gone, and then the way they flamed out in the group stage kind of made it inevitable.
Okay. That will bear watching, and I guess I wonder what the timetable is for trying to get somebody in. I mean, it's not like there's any major competition coming up, is there? Or what are you?
Yeah, so that's the other thing too. Everything, in a dream world would be progressing toward hosting this World Cup in 2 years. But in the meantime, though, there are a few smaller tournaments. The Olympics are pretty much well set, which the U.S. Did qualify for the first time in a long, long time. So that's a step in the right direction. But kind of getting your assistants in line, kind of getting your program in line. And there are some, smaller tournaments that are mainly North American based. But I mean, the U.S. outside of Mexico and Canada now as a newcomer, I guess, has largely dominated those. So, that block is kind of cornered by the U.S. already. But a chance to kind of implement your system over what will be a huge summer 2 years from now.
U.S. Soccer did not announce any interim coaching plans because their aim is to have a new coach in place prior to the next games in September. So I guess that's 6 weeks, a couple of months. So they got a little time, I guess. So, okay. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we'll be talking, as Wade likes to say, a little strawberries and cream. Visiting with Bill Riddle, who went over and took in some tennis matches at the All England Club here recently. Looking forward to this. Stay tuned after the break.
Bluegrass Auction Associates is hosting another estate auction in White House, Tennessee on Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. Join Bluegrass as they sell the Judy Matthews Honeycutt Estate, conveniently located in the scenic Orchard Park subdivision. This beautiful estate includes both real estate and personal property, so everything must go. Everything will be sold on-site and in person, and a 10% buyer's premium is added to the final bid. So bid with confidence with Bluegrass Auction Associates, committed to excellence.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective abodes. And it is now Coach's Corner, and we are visiting with University of Tennessee Southern tennis coach Bill Riddle, who is back from his trip across the pond to Wimbledon. Coach Riddle, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. I'm excited for this segment because I've not known a whole lot of people who have actually seen Wimbledon in person. Was this a first for you, or is this something that you kind of make a habit of, or how does this work?
Well, I'm pretty lucky. I've been a number of times, and as Wade can tell you, I kind of wear a lot of hats in the tennis industry, in the tennis world, and been pretty fortunate over many years to see a lot of great places like Wimbledon and spend some time there. And so back from Wimbledon, but I'm actually coming to you from the middle of Toronto, Canada. So sorry for any background noise, but I was on my way to the club, and this is where I've made it.
I should have prefaced this, Mo, by telling you, get ready to be flexed on. Bill loves to do this, so I'm not surprised.
Sorry.
No, I'm unflexible in more ways than one, but no, that's fantastic. So London, Toronto, where in the world is Bill Riddle, huh?
Well, my wife said the same thing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So clearly the event is still going on, so you weren't able to necessarily, or you did not stay for it in its entirety. How long did you go over?
Right. I was there for maybe about 10 or 12 days. I was there for mainly all of the qualifying rounds and first couple of days of main draw up until probably like Wednesday, Thursday, and then had to get back. But yeah, for those who've never been to Wimbledon, it's a truly remarkable place, a truly remarkable tournament to be able to be a part of and be around. It's just the atmosphere is unlike any other tournament in the world.
My immediate question, Bill, is did the fans or the patrons, maybe even if they're called, do they have to wear white as well? What is the dress code for fans?
No, the fans can wear anything you want, and actually, practice courts, the pros can wear what they want there as well. But what's really interesting about Wimbledon, unlike any other, professional tournament, everyone really dresses up. Whether you're a general admission ticket holder or you're setting, courtside, it's very fashion forward over there, and it's kind of a nice thing.
So in other words, Wade, you and I would be pressed, hard pressed.
Yeah, I'd have to dig in the closet a little bit for sure.
I'd have to. There's nothing in my closet. Doesn't sound like so.
Yeah.
What does a tennis coach wear to Wimbledon, Bill?
Well, I pretty much every day I'm in tennis gear because I'm kind of bouncing around from different activities and whatnot. But you can usually tell the tennis coaches are all in their tennis gear, and all the spectators are pretty dressed up. So it's a clear distinction there.
Did you bring any UT Southern merch while you were across the pond this trip?
Of course. I signed a young man who's going to be playing for us this fall. Alex will be joining us in August. So it was really good because I got to spend a few days with him. He was actually, playing a tournament. And so got to spend a little bit of time with him, met his mom. And so, whenever we can spend some time with our international players that are coming in, that's huge. So I was really happy about that.
Yeah,
so is that how you write this off, as a recruiting trip?
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. The truth of the matter is college coaches are always recruiting, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing. The truth is you're always looking for that next player, that nugget that's going to help you. But for me, I'm always kind of, wearing a couple of different hats. I did some coach education while I was there. Caught up with a couple of buddies, but always looking. They do one of the biggest showcases, college tennis showcases, right before Wimbledon kicks off. And so spend some time looking at players for fall of 2025 as well.
ABC, Wade. Always be recruiting.
Always be recruiting. I like that.
Yeah. I feel like Bill definitely fits that moniker. And Bill, I got to ask you too, recruiting. We just saw you a few weeks ago at the state tournament in Murfreesboro. How does your mindset change, or does it change at all when you try and recruit kids from Middle Tennessee versus to try and recruiting kids that are in Australia or England, perhaps?
Well, I mean, I'm always looking for American players. I'm always looking for local players. And you and I have talked about this. Sometimes it's a struggle in our sport, in tennis, really from the education standpoint of the players and the parents. But it doesn't really change at all. For me, I'm always looking for, just good people first and foremost. Secondly, I want them to love playing tennis. I know that those two things sound like kind of crazy, but without a good person who loves playing tennis, man, it just gets tough, deep into the season. So for me, it's always those two things first and foremost. And then, someone who's looking to get a great education, because UT Southern, we've got amazing academics there. And so those are my top three right there.
Bill Riddle, UT Southern tennis coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And Bill, you touched on a couple of things that kind of intrigued me there, because I've heard other coaches in other sports at the collegiate level say that sometimes recruiting international athletes is a little bit, not necessarily easier, but it's a different dynamic, just that they don't have, Power Five, ingrained and that kind of thing. I mean, is it easier for you to sell a kid on UT Southern who's from England or even from Toronto or someplace like that, as opposed to somebody from the Southeast or somebody from the States?
Well, I think the big thing is that, international athletes, student athletes, are looking for a chance to come to the United States first and foremost. And then I think they're looking at the schools and the programs secondary. I don't want to throw shade on American kids or parents, but a lot of them are looking at, it's D1 or nothing. They've got this mindset of, if I don't play at a top school, then I'm not really playing. And that just comes down to education. They don't really understand how good tennis is, and other sports as well. They just don't understand how good the levels are all the way up and down the list there. And I say this all the time. I put this out there that there's as good of tennis at the NAI level as you're going to find anywhere across the country, maybe excluding the SEC, but I mean, it's really good tennis.
And piggybacking off of that to some degree, you have been at the Pulaski School for quite some time. You were there when it was Martin Methodist, I assume. And so
yes, sir.
How has recruiting been as UT Southern as opposed to as Martin Methodist?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, the reality is, Martin Methodist was there for 150 years, and we had people. I had tennis buddies of mine who, coached tennis for years that were in Nashville or Birmingham that never even knew that Martin Methodist really existed and was an option for their players. Once we became UT Southern, I mean, it really opened the door for a lot of things. The power of that orange and the power of UT is massive. And I actually, one of the first calls I got was from a coach in the SEC that said, "Hey, you guys want to jump on the schedule this, next year once we became UT Southern." And I said, I appreciate the call and appreciate the invite, but we're still the same program we were. We just have we're wearing orange and we got a really nice name behind us. It's going to take us a while to get to that level, but it really is perception to some people. They don't realize all the different levels, but I think it's been really good for us. I think it's been good for all the sports. I'm excited about where we are and what being a part of the UT family is.
Absolutely. And Bill, I was going to ask about the schedule because one thing I've always appreciated, and I'm sure Mo will as well, even at NAIA level, you guys are willing to play really anybody. And even this year, taking on schools like Chattanooga and Lipscomb, in addition to some other schools that we've seen you guys play over the years. Kind of maybe if you would just walk us through your mindset when it comes to making a non-conference schedule, because you guys already have a really challenging NAIA schedule, playing in one of the tougher conferences in the NAIA.
Yeah, I think hands down, and no one can really sway me from this, but the Southern States Conference for tennis is probably one of the toughest conferences in the NAIA. And for us to try to be prepared to play, our top 5 teams in our conference are top 20 in the nation. So to prepare for that, we're not ducking anybody. We played MTSU and UT Chattanooga and Lipscomb. I mean, we're playing D1 teams that are deep, that are good, in hopes of preparing our players for that level of competition and that level of play on the court, and also really the mindset. So we're trying to get ourselves mentally and physically ready to play just in our conference. And I think it's only going to get tougher and tougher as the years go on. So yeah, I mean, we want to play just good tennis. We don't care who you are. We want to play good tennis and be prepared to compete.
And I would imagine, Bill, that's a great selling point when you go out and recruit, that you're going to be playing some of the folks that you are going to be playing. I mean, just because you're playing NAIA tennis doesn't mean that you don't have an opportunity to measure yourself against the best.
Well, that's right. I mean, I think the players, when we would play, let's say at MTSU's, indoor facility or at their outdoor facility, or, any of these D1 or bigger schools, they've got really nice facilities, and, to play on a bigger stage like that is important, because when we get to, our conference tournament or to the, nationals, hopefully, you're playing on a bigger stage, and you've got to be prepared to be able to deal with that. And, for me as well, I want to give our players an opportunity to experience all that college tennis has to offer. And, I think that's the best way to go about it.
Bill, someone has told me to ask you about a taste of tennis.
Taste of tennis. Wonder who that might be. Well, Taste of Tennis is one of probably the premier events in the tennis world. I've been very fortunate to participate in their events at Indian Wells, in London, as well as in New York, and they do a great job. It's not a bad deal. It's a lot of chefs bringing some amazing food together with tennis players and music, and those events are always really, really, really fun.
So here I was all this time, Bill, thinking that maybe you were like preparing the food. Turns out you're just sitting there and eating the food. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I mean, there has been a couple of times where I've done some cooking, some food preparation, as well as doing some MC work. But typically the Taste of Tennis events are a lot of really, really good chefs from around the world cooking some of their specialties. And man, it's really good whenever I'm there.
Yeah,
Bill,
I was picturing you in the chef's hat even back
the
in
toque,
the day.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you gotta like that. Bill Riddle, tennis coach at UT Southern, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today. Bill, you said you were there for the qualifying rounds at Wimbledon and for some of the main draw early on. Did you see anybody that we need to be on the lookout for? Anybody stick out for you? Any names that we need to be aware of going forward?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. There's the reality is that the professional tennis ranks, it's so deep, and if you probably noticed, more and more players are coming out of the college ranks and making a splash at the professional level. I mean, you see that with Emma Navarro. I mean, she's done well. She was a very top player at Virginia, and then made a great run. I think one of the things too is that on the grass at Wimbledon, it's really, it can be anybody's game depending on your health and then how you're feeling at that time. The grass is just so unpredictable. Some days it'll play a little fast. Some, as you get into the tournament, it gets a little more chewed up. It plays a little rougher. And the players that are able to adjust to the conditions tend to be the ones that can kind of go a little bit deeper. And I think what you're finding is that more and more college players coming into the pros, they have to go through the trials and tribulations. So if they can handle the big stage and the bright lights, then sometimes they can do pretty well.
Are you still continuing to keep up with what's going on over there, even though you are, well, not even stateside, but now that you have returned from England? I mean, are you still watching and keeping up?
The last couple of days, I haven't been able to really follow as much because I've been kind of busy on the courts and traveling. But, I was excited to see Tommy Paul go deep into the tournament. Excited to see Taylor Fritz, another American, go kind of deep into it. It's really interesting to see where American players are. We've got a lot of money and facilities and time and effort, strengths behind us here in the States. And we should be producing consistent, quarterfinalists and semifinalists and champions. And hopefully we're going to get back to that consistently. But it was really nice to see those two guys kind of go deep.
Real quick, Bill, before we get you out of here, sorry, Mo.
No.
Bill, I wanted to give you a chance to shout out. You guys have some exciting facility news that's been kind of a couple years in the works down in Pulaski. What's the latest, and what can you tell us about the kind of new home for the Firehawks this year?
Yeah, I'm so excited, and I know all of our staff and administration very excited to have new facilities. We partnered with the city of Pulaski. Magazine Road Park redid 4 of the tennis courts, built 2 new ones with a very nice donation from Dean Neville. And we're going to be opening that up. We're going to have a grand opening in early September, I know. And it's going to be nice. We've got 6 brand new tennis courts there. All the logos will be there on their courts. So they're on the windscreens. It's going to be a real great experience for everybody. I know we've got 4 fall tournaments we're hosting. Finally get some teams to come to visit us in Pulaski. So really excited about having our own courts.
Any locals in your program that you want to tell us about, Bill? Anybody from around the area that's looking to be particularly solid for you in this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'm excited. We've got a couple of American players coming in. Gabrielle Kirkley is coming in from Atlanta, which is somewhat local for us. But then also Ethan Porterfield coming in from Chattanooga. Young man that I feel like Wade, you were up there with us in Murfreesboro. Young man that won the state title in his division. I think he's got a lot of upside. He's a fighter. He was actually also a pitcher for his baseball team. And for me, I love that mentality of, a guy who wants the ball in his hand, standing on the mound, ready to throw heat. Same thing kind of transfers over. So I'm excited about him being on the team and in the lineup. And for us, that's pretty local. I think, having a new facility and being able to do stuff with the community, in years to come, the goal will be to help develop kids, truly in Pulaski and Giles County and surrounding areas, to maybe give them a chance one day to play at this level of college tennis.
Bill Riddle, tennis coach at UT Southern, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, currently in Toronto. Now, we didn't ask you, what are you doing in Toronto right now? Or can we ask you?
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, it's the story. No matter where I'm at, wherever I'm at on the planet, I seem to be doing the same thing. I'm either guest coaching, I'm doing coach education, and or recruiting, which is all the above while I'm up this way. So, like I said, and you said it too. I mean, coaches are always recruiting, always looking.
Well, good luck. Maybe you can come up with somebody while you're up there, and we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, and we'll let you get back to it.
Well, this has been fantastic. I appreciate the invite, Wade. Thank you so much, and hope to see you guys again soon.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Thanks, Coach. When we continue here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it will be time for some professional baseball chatter, particularly of the Braves persuasion. So stay tuned when we return to the Lee Company studios after this.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
July 11th, 2013, Freddie Freeman celebrated his being named to the National League All-Star team via the final man vote by going 3 for 4 with a 2-run double and a pair of RBI base hits as Atlanta down visiting Cincinnati 6-5. The Braves led 6-3 after 4, and Tim Hudson, Jordan Walden, and Craig Kimbrell held the Reds in check the rest of the way. That was this day in Braves history. Solid performance by the bullpen in that 2013 victory over Cincinnati. Rare letdown by the bullpen in last night's 7-5 loss out at Arizona as the Braves battled back on a couple of occasions, trailed 3-2, tied it, trailed 5-3, tied it on an Ozuna home run. That never happens. But, Pierce Johnson gave up a run, his second run in 14 appearances dating back to the 1st of June. Joe Jimenez gave up he had given up 2 runs over 17 innings coming into last night. He gave up 2 runs in the 8th last night. So, Braves fans are some of the worst about overreacting to every single loss, but sometimes that other team, you just got to tip your hat to them. And I think last night was one of those nights. We've talked about Arizona. Again, they are the defending National League champions. And, after you've gotten 2 from them at their place, they got a little pride too. So, they bounced back and they got one. And they got to a couple of guys who had not been very get toable over the course of this season. And sometimes you're the insect, sometimes you're the windshield, right? Bug, windshield, that kind of thing. The Braves were the windshield, or had been, and last night they were kind of the bug. So tough night, but 8:40 we'll go again.
Yeah, a chance to get back, and you're right. No one said it was going to be easy, even though the D-backs are below 500, still a strong team, and especially they got some key guys in that lineup, whether it's Marte or Walker. Walker was kind of held in check last night, but Suarez at the bottom of the lineup was the real villain. Had that home run early, and then Marte also had one early. So they have some offensive firepower. And we didn't even mention Corbin Carroll at the top of the lineup. He was kind of held in check last night too. So it's not as if we're
struggling a little bit this year, but with his speed, he's always a threat. So he's somebody that you have to account for. But yeah, they will try to do so tonight. Max Fried gets the start for Atlanta, 7-4 with a 3.18 ERA. It's Brandon Pfaadt, 3-6, 4.19 going for the D-backs in this series finale before the Braves travel on to San Diego for a 3-game weekend set to close out the pre-All-Star break portion of the schedule. So we'll see how it goes. Before last night's game, the Braves made a flurry of transactions. We talked on yesterday's show about AJ Smith-Shawver being activated off of the injured list following an oblique injury. Well, he has been sent down to Gwinnett. Also, outfielder Ramon Laureano has been placed on the IL with an oblique injury. Dylan Lee, who was just sent down to Gwinnett, has been recalled, and outfielder Brian Anderson has been activated off of the injured list. Also, outfielder JP Martinez was outrighted to Gwinnett. So they had a lot right before the game yesterday, and seems quiet to this point today, but we'll see how things go. So again, they close out that 4-game series, trying to take the series tonight with Max on the bump. Houston with a nice little win behind Framber Valdez. It's 10 strikeouts in 7 innings as the Astros down Miami 9-1.
Yeah, much better, much less heartburn, right?
Yeah,
as
after
opposed to
4-3.
after the 1-run victory the night before. Yeah, Valdez, nice effort on the bump, and coming into this series, you certainly were hoping 2 out of 3, and you can't win 3 until you win 2, and so it's good that they got that one out of the way last night. And if they could get the sweep, that would be a nice little feather in their cap. I'm not saying they're all the way back. They're certainly not all the way back, but they kind of feel like they're getting their sea legs about them a little bit now, finally.
Feeling a little bit more comfortable with them right now.
At least, yeah, they're watchable now. They were borderline unwatchable the first half of this season. First couple of months, they really kind of struggled, but kind of clicking. Yeah, it's the Marlins, so you can't get too jazzed up about it. But, I mean, you got to go out and win those games, because if you don't win those games and you find yourself in a race late in the season, those are the ones that you're kicking yourself saying, how did we lose 2 or 3 to the Marlins? And that could be the difference for a team that's battling for the postseason now. It's not as if they have a big lead, so any win is a good win for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how people say, well, it's the Marlins, but, okay, till you lose to them. So yeah,
Right.
you gotta when you get a chance to beat them, you gotta enjoy that. Interesting. I'm looking at the box score from last night. Trey Cabbage, the kid from Granger High School over in East Tennessee, went 1 for 3 with a double, a run, and a rib score, an RBI. But he pinch hit. He went into the game as a pinch hitter for Jordan Alvarez, who was 1 for 1 with an RBI. Do you know anything about Jordan? Wade, was there anything?
I don't, and that makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just maybe got up early, and that's why I did see that. He had hip tightness issues. I did see a quote
Okay.
last night from the managerial staff for the Astros that basically said, somewhat precautionary, and they were just going to reevaluate today and hope that it wasn't anything major. A little
Cool.
hip tightness, which doesn't sound that pleasant.
It doesn't sound very pleasant.
My hips are way out of whack, so I'm imagining how big his hips are, how big of a guy he is. If his hips are tight, yeah, that's probably pretty uncomfortable.
Wait a minute, Mr. CrossFit himself has hip issues? Come
Man,
on.
I am as out of I'm a big fan of my buddy down at a chiropractic office down in Pulaski, because my hips are always out of alignment. Not good.
I understand.
Sleep posture, sleep posture, sleep posture, he tells me. And what do? Do the opposite of what he says. So one of these days I will learn. But yeah, I've yet to learn my lesson.
Roddery Munoz, 1-3 with a 5.48 ERA, goes for the visiting Marlins in tonight's 7-10 matchup out at Minute Maid Park. It's Jake Bloss, no record, with a 4.91 ERA, getting the ball for the host Astros. Coming off the IL, making his second major league start, is Jake Bloss. Made his major league debut on June 21st, injured his shoulder. Threw 4 scoreless Saturday in a rehab start with Sugarland. So you hope some of that carries over into this one if you are the Astros, who are, like you said, going for the sweep of the Marlins here. So apparently, happy Paul Skeens Day.
Oh, baby.
To all who observe. 5-0 with a 2.12 ERA, 78 strikeouts in 59 and a third. He is starting today against the Brewers. And he is the first pitcher with 7 or more strikeouts in at least 9 of his first 10 career outings. This will be his 11th start since coming up from AAA Indianapolis for the Pirates. And again, appointment viewing.
I've got the game pulled up, Mo. He's sitting on 11 strikeouts, and they just gave him the ball to come out for the 7th. It was 0-0. Pittsburgh just scored in the top of the 7th. And so I don't know how much longer he's going to go. He's just shy of 100 pitches. But, yeah, Skeens is shoving today. 11 strikeouts, 1 walk. Got a no-hitter going at the moment even. Just to really show off.
Wow. I mean, and today is Thursday. So this will be his final start before the All-Star break. And, you know, Paul Skeens to start next Tuesday down at Arlington is really beginning to get legs. And again, if Chris Sale is out of the mix for Atlanta at 12-3, you know, I don't know. I'm beginning to kind of be swayed in that direction with the I don't know, arguments per se that some other people are putting forth. I mean, it would be worth watching to see him against the top of the American League lineup.
He won't go the whole distance today, but imagine that. Imagine he finishes this game somehow, throws a no-hitter in his final start.
Before the All-Star break?
You know, the major league execs are begging for him to get the ball to start things off next week.
Goodness gracious.
All-Star
It is,
game.
yeah. I mean, it as much as I was against it a few days ago, I don't know that I am necessarily for it, but I could be swayed. I could be talked into it at this point. I see the idea. I understand the concept, and I don't hate it like I did.
I mean, yeah, and I'm just wondering, who else do you potentially? He does get through the 7th, and probably not coming back out, but 7 innings of no-hit ball with 11 strikeouts.
Innings of. Oh, so he didn't strike anybody out this inning?
Took a rare inning off, I suppose. But I'm wondering, if not Sale, then who are some other even candidates? I mean, because it just feels like he has just kind of swept everybody off their feet with this start to his career here.
He's clearly broken onto the radar, and it's tough to ignore what he's doing. I mean, again, you said he just pitched through 7 with 11 strikeouts, so that gives him 89 strikeouts in 66 and a third innings. Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out who. It's tough to know who the other options are, just from a standpoint of when are some of these other folks going to go between now and then? I mean, realistically, not every starting pitcher is going to be in play for Tuesday night, obviously. So,
Hunter Green had a big day for the Reds today as well, double-digit strikeouts. There's some good quality arms in the National League. And then the crazy thing is on the other side, on the American League, I saw a tweet the other day. I meant to mention it on the show when we were discussing the rosters. I mean, who would have ever dreamed we could be talking about Seth Lugo versus Paul Skeens to start the All-Star game?
Yeah.
I mean, Crochet, even you can make a similar argument. He has been lighting it up for a putrid White Sox team. And so I think it'll be a fun matchup no matter who ends up getting the ball. And no matter if Skeens gets in the game at any point, it's going to be sweet just from a entertainment standpoint. But yeah, if he could somehow get the start at that top of the lineup versus AL, I think it would really be kind of a treat to see.
I think if he doesn't start, he'll be the first guy in. I think. I mean,
and man, it would. I mean, like I said the other day, I'm feeling like Pedro 99 All-Star game vibes with the way this guy has been just mowing people down. It would be electric if he could come out and produce versus the top of a pretty stacked AL lineup potentially.
Yeah. I mean, again, the idea of Skeens versus Judge. Who doesn't want to see that? So, I don't hate it at this point. Let's go ahead and get to our top of the hour break here on Main Street Sports today. When we come back, it is Throwback Thursday, and we will be throwing it back to our Tuesday conversation with Columbia Academy graduate, Lewisburg native, and Tennessee outfielder KAVARES Tears. So stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
It's the second hour of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. And again, it is Throwback Thursday, and we are now throwing it back to our visit from Tuesday in Lewisburg with KAVARES Tears, where KAVARES Tears Day was being held down in Lewisburg in honor of their national champion, the Tennessee outfielder who drove in the game-winning run in the championship win over Texas A&M out at Omaha a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, Wade, as it turned out, that was a fun day. I mean, really enjoyed being able to be down there. It was a great honor to be on hand for that. And the way Mike Kinney and Bob Phillips took care of us at the Marshall County Community Theater, and the opportunity to visit a little bit with Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Executive Director Brad Willis. It was just a good day. It was a good show. Again, if you've not had a chance to see it, go back and check that out. But here is our segment where we visited with the man of the hour, KAVARES Tears. You recognize that guy. That's KAVARES Tears, former Columbia Academy standout, Lewisburg native, and as of a couple Monday nights ago, national champion, right fielder for the University of Tennessee Volunteers. KAVARES, congratulations on so much. And when we opened the show, I said that they were observing KAVARES Tears Day for you being named to the Southeastern Conference Academic Honor Roll.
I don't know about that.
Apparently, no, seriously.
That's real?
No, that's real. No, I wouldn't joke about anything like that. No, Wes Rutherford tweeted that out earlier.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 20 of you guys, 20 guys off the UT baseball team were named to the SEC Academic Honor Roll this morning.
We get it done on and off.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go. Congratulations. How big is that?
It's pretty cool. I don't know, is that my first time?
No, you made it last one.
Oh, okay. Well,
Multi-time. Too many to remember, right?
He's such a great student that it doesn't even register with him. But no, that's fantastic, man. So like you, I mean, that's great. Again, getting it done on and off the field. There's something to be said for that.
sir.
You guys certainly got it done on the field.
Absolutely.
I saw the pictures of you carrying the trophy around on the field at Charles Schwab and Omaha and that kind of thing. It just really, it's got to be a cool moment.
Yeah, it was definitely, there was a lot of different emotions going on throughout that whole 24 hours. Honestly.
You know, that was a wild 10-day ride from the comeback in the opener against Florida State to Game 2 against Texas A&M, where you guys had to get off the mat with a couple of 2-run homers late to that final game. And I am still trying to figure out how your ball did not get out.
You know, I've been seeing stuff saying that it might have been a home run, but
Somebody told me that it hit a fence behind, like a railing right behind
like
it, and kicked back.
Keep the fans in it. They said it hit that. Jace played it as if it hit the wall. So
Right.
I don't know. He sold it pretty well. I had no clue.
Yeah, I've not gone back and looked at it. I mean, it doesn't matter now, but I mean, you hit it a ton. I mean, it was as hard a hit ball as I saw in Omaha throughout the series, and the fact that it did not leave the park, and so maybe it did leave the park.
I mean, the wind was blowing in like 30 miles an hour, so I didn't really expect it to, honestly.
I was able to get with your high school coach, Richie Easton, not long after the championship, and we talked about your transition. I mean, I don't know that you ever sat at Columbia Academy. You were redshirted your freshman year at the University of Tennessee. And in this age of transfer portal and everything else, it would have been real easy for you to bounce.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was that ever in your thought process? And if it was, what made you not?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that, I didn't think about transferring multiple times. As much as I love that campus and I love, everything that's up there in Knoxville, there were some times where I thought maybe, this isn't for me if I want to, continue my career. But I had a conversation with Evan Russell, and he sat me down, and I mean, I won't give the whole conversation, but he basically was telling me that, it's not smart to leave. If you leave here, you will regret that decision. And not just because everything statistically, but the bonds I had made with the coaches, the players, people in the community, stuff like that. I would be missing out on that, and I had gotten really close to a lot of the players, a lot of the people at that campus my freshman year. And, I didn't know if I was going to be all right leaving it. And, I also was able to change my mindset to, instead of thinking that I'm not good enough, and I was started thinking, what can I do to get better? And so that's, how I spent my redshirt year.
I will tell you that I was checking with some folks that would know throughout that, and everybody was giving me the feedback that they love KT. That was constant. They love KT, and his time's going to come. So I guess you were hearing that too, but I would imagine at the same time that in the middle of it, when you're hearing that, then there's a question. Is that for real, or are they just telling me that to keep me?
Yeah, that was, honestly, that was definitely, whenever I would have, a negative thought process, that was definitely something that, had run through my mind. But, I mean, when it came down to it and, I was looking at basically the facts, like what's laid out in front of me, the team that we had, the position I was in, and where I was at with, my maturity. I mean, I realized that, Coach V, Coach Elander, they all had their best, my best interests at heart. So
tough to push Jordan Beck out the lineup, right?
Exactly.
KT, I want to ask you, so many games obviously get played, and you guys, I mean, you're constantly working on your game 24/7, but every championship team, no matter what the sport, seems like they have that one moment that you point back to later and say, that's what changed us, or that's what got us over the hump in some way. Was there one of those moments for you? And if so, what was it?
I mean, yeah, I think that moment, might be the same for, us as a team. And that was that first Alabama weekend. We went down to Tuscaloosa and we lost that series. That right there. We found our identity. After that, we found out who we were, and we knew that we never wanted to be in that position again. Even though that was the first weekend, we had plenty of more games to be played. We knew that that position we did not want to be in it again, and that was just something that was on our minds. Even though we would go to 1-1 series, I think just about most of our series, we always knew on Sunday we showed up to the field, we were winning that game.
That's kind of a scary thought, Mo, because that's already a good team. Now they're a ticked off team.
Right.
Is the way I'm interpreting that. Is that kind of how it went down, KT?
Yeah, a little bit. I think we got comfortable losing the first one and then just getting ticked off, and then deciding we're not losing these next few games.
KAVARES Tears, Lewisburg native, Tennessee outfielder, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. They did a little work on you, didn't they? Was that your shoulder? Is that him?
No, that wasn't.
Oh, okay. Oh, never mind. My bad. I was trying to get you a little more NIL there. Sorry. Again, you battled your way onto the field. You showed some versatility again. You played in center for a couple of games while you were in Omaha, when Hunter was kind of banged up after you. You guys in walls. I mean, is there a magnet or something or what?
We kind of have this motto where, if the ball's not going over the fence and it's in the outfield, it's got to be caught. So
every ball is a catchable ball, right?
Every single ball.
Yeah. Is that was that your football background right there?
Absolutely. All three of our the outfielders this year, we were all like real big, like into football, and I think we all played pretty similar. Even Dylan, he's in Kansas, but me and Hunter played similar football. So running the walls, it kind of just brought back some old memories that we've been missing.
KT, you mentioned football, and I got to ask. They kept showing Peyton Manning, obviously in the stands. Was it if it wasn't him, who's been the coolest or person maybe you least expected to get a text or a call or a shout out from since winning it all?
The coolest person, I got an MMA fighter texting me.
Okay.
Izzy's
blowing you up?
Nah.
Okay.
It was Hot Sauce.
Okay, he's from Knoxville, right?
Yeah, he is.
Scott Holtzman? Yeah,
absolutely. That's my dude. Yeah, he texted me, and that was pretty special because he's MMA fighter. Fought
in the UFC a couple times. Now, as we'll get into this a little more here, but you kind of come back, and we were chatting with you before we went on air. What was it like kind of now coming back and kind of just really trying to catch your breath, because the calendar falls as soon as the season's over? It's kind of a whirlwind, and you got a lot of things to think about. What's it like? What's it been like for you these last 2 weeks, maybe just trying to kind of get back on your feet a little bit?
It's been a little hectic, gotta be honest. After our parade, we had to fly to New York for a few days, and then came back home, had a few meetings and conversations before I was able to come back home. But things have kind of slowed down since I've been home for a little bit. But actually tonight I gotta kind of get back into the swing of things. So,
what is it like when you drive past the courthouse right over here and you see the signs, KAVARES Tears Day, you walk into the theater here and it's up here on the marquee, KAVARES Tears Day. I mean, you ever think anything like this was possible for you?
I'm gonna be honest. No, I never would have thought there would, ever be a day named after me, especially in my hometown. That where I grew up, and there's so many people here that mean so much to me, and have helped me get to where I am now. It's special to be able to come home and be able to celebrate. Something that my team in Knoxville was able to do, and being able to celebrate it here. Where I was born and raised.
Lewisburg native, Columbia Academy graduate. Is there any kind of way awkward? Because I see Kendrick with his Lewisburg cap on over there.
I mean, it's different, but I guess luckily I was blessed enough to have a pretty good sized family here in Lewisburg, and then outside of them, definitely made some friends growing up, and then even just family friends that we're still close with to this day.
I know Dante Hightower's from here. They probably had a day for him at some point, either for one of his many Super Bowls or something like that. You probably came to some of those. I kind of thought this was an Alabama town. I guess clearly that's not the case.
Nah, it's Tennessee.
Vols country, for sure. I'm like Mo. I thought I'd see a little more crimson, but I guess not. Hey, KT, I do want to ask, since we are in this small town and we're talking about your day, have you been texting your teammates saying who else on the team? Anybody else got a day yet? I'm the only one so far that's got one.
No, hang on.
Hunter Isley had his yesterday.
Okay, you celebrate. So you're not the first, I guess, but you're probably one of the few, I suppose.
And then Dylan, I think he has his next week or sometime this week. I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, he had his. Yeah.
It's going to be a little different in Kansas, though. I would think.
They're no offense to anybody.
No offense to anybody from Kansas, but I mean it's the in-state school, and Hunter stayed home, you stayed home. As you look up and down that roster, I mean you played with a lot of guys that you were particularly familiar with, I would imagine, from high school. I mean, AJ Russell is from Franklin. There's some other guys. There's a lot of in-state flavor on this team. How special does that make this for y'all?
I think it definitely means a lot to, especially us guys that are from Tennessee. But yeah, I played with I played against Beam, Drew Beam, played against Andrew Binky in high school, which I have a funny story about him that frustrates me to this day. But
we got time.
All right, so Andrew Binky, he's one of our pitchers. He went to DCA, and we played him one day up at their field, and he had a broken wrist, and he went 4 for 4 bunts against us. And I'm telling you, he's one of my best friends, so I'll say this. I wanted to beat him up so bad during that game. I was so mad at him.
He wasn't bunting off of you, was he?
No, I was at first.
Oh,
he was just like he's just like really, really fast. And I kept telling him, I was like, dude, swing the bat.
Did y'all know his wrist was broken?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
I had no clue. I was like chirping him, like, come on, dude. What are you doing?
Oh, that's awesome. KAVARES Tears joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. So what is what's the itinerary for this afternoon? I know at 4:30 you are being recognized over here on the courthouse steps, and County Mayor Mike Kinney is going to be reading the proclamation, and then at 6 you're going in front of the city council. Are you going to be speaking at any point?
Yeah, I think I will be sharing a few words towards the end.
You looking forward to that?
I'm trying not to get butterflies right now, so I'm trying not to think about it as much as possible at the moment. But
bigger butterflies this afternoon, this evening, or that Monday night in Omaha?
Definitely this. speaking in front of a lot of people is not my forte. 20
home runs. One of 5 UT players to hit 20 home runs, which set a Division I record. 73 runs scored, 62 RBIs, 16 doubles, and 324 batting average. Each of those were among the top 4 totals for the national championship volunteers. Not that you weren't capable, but I mean, when you hear those numbers, when you look at those numbers, what do you think about the season you had individually?
You know, if I'm gonna be honest, I think I kind of undershot myself going into the season. Some of the goals I had kind of set, you know, aside for myself, like personally. But at the same time, before this, I had never really, you know, played too much, so I didn't, you know, I knew I was. I mean, I knew I was okay, but like I didn't know like what I was fully capable of doing, like in a, you know, a year's worth of at bats and playing time. So, you know, I kind of didn't really. I don't know. I didn't really.
You didn't have a feel.
Yeah, I didn't have a good feel. Of you know, some of the goals I want to do. So I kind of just put all that to the side and was just play hard.
As you look back at this season for yourself individually, what are you most impressed with?
Definitely defense. You know, our pitchers are up there, especially in the hot sun, throwing pitches, and you know, I think it feels good to be able to, you know, kind of save them some pitches or get them out of a jam.
This was such a fun team and such a special team. For folks that tuned in late, you know, whether it was just in Omaha or, you know, in the regionals or super regionals, what would you like for people that tuned in late to remember about this team throughout the whole season? Because it's, to me at least, without watching a ton of those games until Omaha, it seemed like everybody was just had each other's backs, if nothing else. And I feel like that goes so far in college baseball.
No, yeah, I think that is literally that can sum up our whole season. You know, I think from top to bottom, the lineup, our bullpen, our starters, guys on the bench, our coaches, everybody, I think we all had each other's backs, regardless of the situation. So I think that played, you know, a huge role in, you know, allowing us to be able to, you know, hoist the trophy at the end of that last game.
Have they already said anything about bringing you guys back to Knoxville for, you know, everybody on the internet immediately was like, man, it'd be cool if they came back for that Alabama game and brought them out, you know, on the 50 at Neyland. Has that already been discussed that you know of? Or
I know there's something been discussed. I think it's still kind of, you know, staying, you know, kind of low key right now, but I think there'll be something out about it soon.
Stay tuned, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, it sounds like stay tuned. Absolutely. So you flew up to New York right after the World Series, did some stuff at MLB Network, that kind of thing. There's a little deal coming up this weekend, the Major League Baseball draft. Excited?
Yeah, I'm excited, curious. Again, it's kind of a wide range of different emotions going on around here.
You know, I talked to Tony V in January. He was up at Cool Springs for a coach's clinic, and you were a redshirt sophomore this year, and he said, you know, if people want to see KAVARES tears, they better get a good look at him this year, because there's a very good chance he's not going to be back. Now, even though you're a redshirt sophomore and the draft is juniors eligible, because you are a redshirt sophomore, you are eligible for the draft.
Yes, sir. Yes,
they have seen the last of KAVARES tears at Knoxville, haven't they?
Yes, sir. I will be trying to, you know, forego my next few years of eligibility and take, you know, whatever I can get in the draft.
Well, I think that's a smart decision. Not that it matters whether I do or not, but what is it about pursuing your professional career at this point that excites you?
I mean, I guess it's just one step closer to getting to, you know, a dream I've had since I was 8 years old. And, you know, with every step, you know, God has blessed me to get closer. You know, there's the percentage of that gets smaller and smaller with every step. So I'm just blessed to be able to, you know, still be a part of that percent, still playing. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
KAVARES, we appreciate it. Congratulations.
Yes,
looking forward to hearing your few words over here in a bit. It's going to be fun, and you deserve it. So again, congrats, and thank you for taking some time with us this afternoon.
Thank y'all. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Bluegrass Auction Associates is hosting another estate auction in White House, Tennessee on Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. Join Bluegrass as they sell the Judy Matthews Honeycutt Estate, conveniently located in the scenic Orchard Park subdivision. This beautiful estate includes both real estate and personal property, so everything must go. Everything will be sold on-site and in person, and a 10% buyer's premium is added to the final bid. So bid with confidence with Bluegrass Auction Associates, committed to excellence.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Welcome back to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely, coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. And Wade, I had to resist the temptation to go and get back on that recliner that we discussed earlier during that segment just now with KAVARES Tears, but I was afraid if I did, I would have just slept through the rest of the show. So had to exercise a little discipline there and stay in it. So
kudos for fighting through it there. Way to battle.
Absolutely, no doubt. Again, it was an early morning today. But anyway, we are now joined by NUBYJAS WILBORN of AllTitans.com because, you know, every now and then Grand Carthon has to remind us, hey, I'm still out here in these streets. Earlier today, it's been reported that the Tennessee Titans have signed safety Jamal Adams to a one-year deal. That's three-time Pro Bowler Jamal Adams, former first-rounder out of LSU, coming to the Titans to help shore up the back end of that defense. NUBYJAS, good afternoon.
What's up, gentlemen? How's everybody doing, man?
We're doing well, man. How are you doing?
Hey, you know, trying to enjoy these last few days, I suppose. You know how it goes. Can't complain.
So what is the significance of today's transaction?
Well, man, if if you're a Titan safety, you might be a little concerned about your viability on the team. I mean, this was a position that was still one of need, and they went out and got what they believe is the best player available. And they got a guy. Now, again, how good is Mr. Adams today in 2024? I do not know yet, considering the fact that he hadn't played a full season, 3 years, if I'm correct. And I think the last couple years, he's really been kind of in and out and struggling to stay on the field. So we'll see. But if he's healthy, got to think he's better than what the Titans have right now, right?
One would think. Tore a quad in 22, had a knee injury last year, and in those 2 seasons accounted for 10 games. But in 20, that was his last Pro Bowl selection of his 3. Set a single season sacks record for a defensive back with 9.5, earning a 4-year, $70 million extension that made him the highest paid safety in the league at the time. So if healthy, obviously the caveat there, but there's a lot to like, I would guess, from the standpoint that your current defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson, has some familiarity with him from when they were both with the Jets. So
yeah, I mean, he had his best years with Denard Wilson, so maybe that some of that translate. We'll see. I do think the Titans are counting a lot on things translating that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? And look, this is probably the best player that they can get. This is probably the best situation they could find. Like I said, it was a position where they needed it, and they made something happen. So, look, if nothing else, we can honestly say the Titans have made moves, okay? They've made moves that seem on paper to have improved their team. This is a move that on paper seems to improve the Titans football team. Now, how will that play out in real life? Who knows? But, we're here to say today it looks pretty good for the Titans. This is a good move for Rand. Now, again, you're getting to sign a 28-year-old safeties. We'll see. But if Jamal is healthy, that man can play. That man can play. I mean, that man's a ball.
You're exactly right, NUBYJAS, and that's what I'm curious. The Titans organization, what version of Jamal Adams do you think that they think, if that makes sense? If you're in that war room, what version of Jamal Adams do you think that they think they're getting? And does that match up with reality in your mind?
That's the hard part, right? Because reality is a whole thing, right? They believe they're getting a player who they hope is close to what he was with the Seahawks at his best. Probably more like when he's with the Jets at his best. That's what they're hoping. That's what they're hoping they get. Now, will they? I don't know, man. He is under 30, so there could be some juice up in there. How do you know, man? I mean, I know we're supposed to give definitive, bang the table. Yes, this is what they did. Yes, they're so much better. Yes, put the Titans in the playoffs. But we don't know, man. I mean, like I said, they signed a lot of free agents. You go back to getting Lord Cushenberry at center. You go back through all the different players they've gotten. New coaching staff. Also, keep in mind, guys, this is a staff who has a first-time head coach, okay? First-time offensive, defensive, and special teams coordinator with a second-year GM and a second-year quarterback, okay? I'm just saying, man.
Boom or bust, right? I mean, it could go in any direction, right?
Yeah, really.
Theoretically.
I mean, now here's the coaching staff is experienced on the back end, okay, with guys like Tracy Rocker, big coach, Bill Callahan, everybody loves the big coach thing, right? And you look on down that staff, very experienced staff, okay? But when it comes to your major positions, you are very young, all right, when it comes to experience, including at quarterback, where you have a second-year quarterback who was thrust into starting because of injury last year, okay? They probably were not planning on putting Will Levis in any football games, but life happened, all right? You hope the backup is good with Mason Rudolph. You hope you don't have to use him very much. Malik Willis, we'll see what that is. But, with this move here, man, look, I think it's a solid move. I think Justin was probably one of the best safeties available that they could get. I haven't seen official numbers yet, on the deal, but probably still leaves the Titans with a little bit of cap room still to do something else. So we'll see.
What would you think that something else might be, NUBYJAS?
I mean,
I
you
mean,
know,
at
maybe
this point, when you look at everything else that has been addressed, what do you feel like is left per se?
I mean, you know, you could always use another offensive lineman. You could always use more depth at receiver. You can always use more depth at linebacker, more depth at defensive line. I mean, just more of everything, really. I mean, think about it. I mean, look, there's a reason why this team is coming off consecutive losing seasons and had the coach fired, okay?
Right.
Also, if you look at that roster, look at all those guys who left, a lot of people who were Titans last year are not currently in the National Football League. And in fact, the Titans, if I'm quoting this correctly, had one of the highest percentages of players from last year's team who did not latch on with other ball clubs. Okay.
Oof.
I'm just saying, man. Like,
yeah.
So, look, I'm still relatively new, so I'm still picking up things and learning as I go. But there's a lot of reasons to have very strong questions about how good this team is going to be, man. And I hope that people are being a little bit more realistic in their outcome for this team. Doesn't mean it's all doom and gloom, because they are getting younger. They are trying to get better, but it's tough, man. It's a tough league.
I'm looking at this article about Adams signing on NFL.com. It feels a little bit like a team welcoming some mercenaries into the fold. But considering how last season went for the Titans, there's no better time than now to welcome a collection of veterans to a roster in need of some direction.
Okay.
Pretty well says it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, they're a young team, man. They're a young team without a lot of experience, not a lot of star players. I mean, look, I like the addition of Calvin Ridley. I like L'Jarius Sneed. I like Chidobe Awuzie. I think they have a chance with Adams if he's healthy. And you look at Cheeto, you look at Roger McCreary, you look at Sneed, you might be talking about one of the best secondaries in the league. Okay. I mean, there's a chance to have a chance to be that good in the secondary. Then you start looking at some of those backup corners, things of that nature. Maybe even you put McCreary in some safety situations sometimes. You know, nowadays with these 3 and 4 wide receiver sets, what is a safety in 2024 football? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, which is a whole nother conversation when you look at the sport, where it's going and where it's come from. All right. But when you look at everything right now, man, it's hard to say what the Titans are going to be, man. It's hard for me today to be like, oh, well, yeah, this is going to be a 11-win team that's definitely going to go to the playoffs in a division that isn't the weak division it used to be anymore. I mean, you have to look at the Houston Texans as a viable, consistent team considering what they have in C.J. Stroud, right? Like C.J. Stroud has shown himself to be a legitimate running back, a legitimate quarterback, a legitimate top 10 quarterback, I would say, right? Who after last year coming as a rookie, you didn't know how good he was going to be. And now he looks to be a legitimate, viable top third, if not higher, quarterback, right? You look at the defense. Now, of course, some of this is because, hey, the Houston Texans were bad for so long and kept drafting first. Eventually, drafting that many good players, you're going to get better, right? You would assume.
You would think.
You would think. And, you know, they hit on some and seem like they have the right coach in DeMeco Ryans. I don't know how good Anthony Richardson is for the Colts, but we'll see. I mean, I thought he was better than Levis in college. Now, again, what that really matters in the league, I don't know. And then you look at the rest of the division, man. I mean, Jacksonville still has Trevor Lawrence, who I think people have been a little hard on him. Maybe some fair, maybe not fair. But you can't tell me he's not a top 15 quarterback in this league still, right?
Yeah, we talked about his contract a couple weeks ago, and 2 years ago had a really good season. And that's where I kind of am not sure what to make of this guy, because last year was a real clunker. But the question is, was that a one-off, or is that something that we maybe see as kind of a pattern for Trevor Lawrence? He's kind of a real head scratcher to me.
I mean, it's a tough thing to know because because how do you know? You know, was he healthy? Was he not healthy? I mean, they had Ridley down there last year. They had some good moments, but they also struggled. But again, hey, this still was a team that won games. They still were in the mix for the playoffs up until the last week of the season, where I remember correctly, right? Where the Titans eliminated them, right? So this is a team that you have to say, even with Lawrence being down, still is a quality football club, or still can be a quality football club. Okay. And we talked about the Texans. We talked about the Colts, who, again, the Colts were right in the playoff mix towards the end. And you look at the Titans schedule. Where are the wins going to come from?
And that's the thing, when you talk about this Titans team, as we talk with NUBYJAS Wilborn of AllTitans.com here on Main Street Sports today, whatever it is that you expect out of the Titans, it doesn't take place in a vacuum. If they beat somebody, then somebody loses. And so, while that sounds obvious when I say it like that, the fact of the matter is, where do those wins come from? Who do they beat? And how do they match up with those teams? I mean, you look at the collection of talent that is going into training camp here in about 2 weeks, I guess. And you feel like, one, it is better than last year. But how much better or how much worse have those other teams that they played during that 6-11 season last year, or in this upcoming season? How much better or how much worse have they got?
Prime example. They played the Cincinnati Bengals this year, right? And the reason why they played the Bengals is because of how the crossover worked with the two teams having the worst record in their divisions. Well, the Bengals were missing somebody on their team.
The Bengals were missing somebody on their team.
Who's kind of important. A little
fairly
bit
important. Yeah.
Just a smidge,
Yeah. He's a little impactful.
But a slight bit, right? Guy named Joe Burrow, but maybe you've heard of him. I don't know, but
depending on how closely you follow professional football.
Right. I mean, he did take a team to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and I still think he was pretty good. So you're missing him. Well, you're probably not going to be as good. It means you're going to lose games in also a very tough division, AFC North, with the Steelers and the Ravens and, a Cleveland Browns organization that actually got his stuff together, right? But they play that fourth place team. They play the LA Rams, who also were a fourth place team, who I would imagine under Jim Harbaugh, excuse me, the Chargers. I'm sorry, I said Chargers. Chargers. You keep forgetting there's two teams in LA, but I'm saying the Chargers. Right?
I'm glad it's good. I appreciate you doing that, because it makes me feel better, because I keep wanting to put the Chargers in San Diego, and they ain't been there in years.
Yeah, so, well, that's the thing. Yeah. But then the Rams were in LA for 20 years, and then they're back in LA. I don't know, man. Who knows?
Yeah.
Man? You have to keep a scorecard to know where these teams are. But
absolutely.
But seriously, I mean, you look at their schedules, not an easy schedule. The Bears might be better with Caleb. We'll see. I mean, the Jets will have Aaron Rodgers back. We'll see what that looks
theoretically.
Like. Well, you assume. I guess he's going to show up and play football, right?
Well, you assume he's going to stick around for more than 2 plays?
Right. I mean, the whole highlight of the season is him running out with that American flag, and then 2 plays, he's done. Which, I mean, but that's sports, man. And that's one of the things about it, sidebar, it's kind of like Kawhi Leonard, right? Where we just saw where he, and people were like, oh, well, Kawhi. But I'm like, hey, man, that man won championships, man. And that man, to me, is one of the best players of his era. You know what I'm saying? I would put him in his era, his years of playing, I'd put him right in the top 5. Like, I think he's better than Jimmy Butler, for instance. You know what I'm saying? I think Jimmy Butler is really good. I don't think he's better than LeBron or Steph, but hey, there were times when that boy was neck and neck, especially in Toronto. But injuries, man.
Right.
Injuries. It happens, man. Sports are a cruel mistress. Thing about sports is we love sports. Sports don't love you back.
That'd be a good bumper sticker, if nothing else. And Tobias, you're right. I mean, I'm sitting here looking. I could easily see the Titans defeating the Bears in that opener and then beating the Jets at home the following week, which would set up a crazy matchup versus the Packers, who everybody and their mom is really high on this year. Or I can see them losing to the Bears, losing to the Jets, and then you're facing a really good Packers team at home. So, I mean, it seems like we will have a decent little indicator of it's going to be a lot harder for this team, in my mind, to climb up if they get off to a slow start than opposed to if they get off to a fast start and then maybe come down to earth a touch.
I mean, look, I could argue the Titans will be a better team this year than they were last year. All right. I think if you look at what they did with the offensive line in particular, also just hiring Bill Callahan alone will make that offensive line better than it was last year. Quite honestly, it can't be worse, right? You would assume. But yeah, no, you look at the schedule, you start out with the Bears, that could be a toss-up, I think. And even look at like the Vegas odds, whatever you take those for. I think the Titans are favored maybe in 2 games. Now, again, that will change as the year goes on as we actually play real football games. But if you look at it, okay, you start with Chicago, that could be a loss. You get the Jets, that could be a loss. The Packers, that could be a loss. Then you go play the Dolphins at Miami. That could be a loss. You get an early bye too, right? Then you go have the Colts. Then you go to the Bills. Then you go to Detroit. Then you get New England at home. I think that's one of the few games the Titans are favored in. Then you go to L.A. Then you host Minnesota. I think it's another game where the Titans are favored because Minnesota doesn't seem like they're going to be any good. Then you go to Houston. You go to the Commanders. You host Jacksonville. You host the Bengals. Then you end your season with road games against the Colts and Jaguars, and you end up hosting Houston to finish the year. So, I mean, you look at it, I mean, they could be a better team. They could be better than they were last year, and the record not really reflect it. You know
and that's the toughest thing right there. They could be better and not have the results to show for it.
Right. But also, let's be real. This season, if you really look at it, Mo and Wade, this is about finding out if Will Levis is a starting quarterback in this league. Everything else, now, obviously, look, you want to win every year. And coaches don't go through all that, you know, the old Bill Parcells quote. That's what you lift all them weights in the offseason for, right? Okay? You know, ain't nobody doing this for charity. This is a business, but also this is a profession for the athletes and the coaches and everybody's judge. We know that. You always want to win. But I don't think there's anything more important this year than finding out if Will Levis can play starting quarterback. Can Will Levis be a top half quarterback? Can he be a guy who you'd say, okay, there's not 20 quarterbacks better than Will Levis. There's not 15 quarterbacks better than Will Levis. Can he get to a point where you say, hey, man, there's not 10 quarterbacks in this league better than Will Levis? Or, hey, man, Will Levis ain't got it. And the way we're going with, look at Pittsburgh. Look what happened with Pickett, okay? Look at what Justin Fields, I'm talking about Pittsburgh. He's in Pittsburgh now because Chicago ran him out of there because, hey, man, you want to win or try to win while the quarterback's on that rookie deal.
You're not drafting quarterbacks to develop.
Nah, man.
You're drafting quarterbacks to plug and play.
Which I'm not a fan of, but, hey, it ain't my money.
There you
know
go.
What I'm saying? It ain't my money, it ain't my circus, but this is the way it is now. So if Will Levis shows himself, then I think the season is a success. If he doesn't, then at least you know where you're at.
There you go.
Yeah, that sets up everything that you want to know going forward, right?
Right, because that determines how you draft going forward. Also, if he ain't good, you're going to be in a position to draft highly, which we're already seeing the mock drafts that have the Titans in the top 5 of those mock drafts. Some of them haven't taken Shedeur Sanders or Carson Beck or whomever, because, again, this is how quickly it moves.
Yep.
And do I think that's fair to Will Levis? No. But also, hey, man, Will Levis making a bunch of money. And, you know, so he'll be all right.
The fair is where you go for cotton candy and stuffed animals.
Yeah. Somebody says where you go to judge pigs, man.
There we go. NUBYJAS Wilborn of AllTitans.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, and it's never a dull moment when he does. NUBYJAS, we appreciate you coming in, man, and enjoy this last little bit of downtime before you get to go sweat out at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park.
Thank you, man. I look forward to it. Y'all boys be good, man.
Stay hydrated. We'll talk to you. When we come back for the final segment of Main Street Sports today, it's the grab bag. Stay with us after this break.
Bluegrass Auction Associates is hosting another estate auction in White House, Tennessee on Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. Join Bluegrass as they sell the Judy Matthews Honeycutt Estate, conveniently located in the scenic Orchard Park subdivision. This beautiful estate includes both real estate and personal property, so everything must go. Everything will be sold on-site and in person, and a 10% buyer's premium is added to the final bid. So bid with confidence with Bluegrass Auction Associates, committed to excellence.
And here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, and it is the grab bag, as Wade and I will kind of tie up some loose ends here in the final segment. And we will start right here in our backyard with a little transfer portal news involving a area high school standout, as Independence graduate Ryan Brown, who spent her freshman season as a softball player at the University of Texas, announced this morning that she will be transferring to the University of Tennessee. We've got an article on the website mainstreetmurray.com where she dives into what her thoughts were through the process of leaving Texas, where she signed in November of her senior season at Independence after previously being committed to Missouri, and deciding to transfer to a Tennessee team that didn't go as far as Texas this past year, actually. Texas advances to the Women's College World Series Finals before falling to Oklahoma in what was then an all Big 12 matchup, but obviously we've talked about all that. And she's transferring to a Lady Vols team that, after reaching the Final Four of the WCWS last year, got knocked out at home by Alabama in the Super Regionals. So UT got some work to do. Ryan Brown set to help them do it.
Yeah, this is potentially a big move, right? It's obviously exciting for friends and family of Ryan, so she can be a little closer to home. But it's a chance for her
actually,
a lot closer to home. Yeah. And it's exciting for her to kind of be able to kind of reboot in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that's certainly a part of this whole thing. And good stuff from you on Main Street Murray here, and talking about kind of how this all unfolds. And Mo, if nothing else, we get the rarely seen transfer of UT to UT, right?
There we go. Or as someone says, she's going to the real UT now. But,
yeah.
I think what this all boils down to was Texas went 55-10. They played 65 games. Ryan Brown played in 11. I mean,
that's got to, I mean, yeah. Gotta go where the action is. And this seems like a better shot at getting action, it sounds like.
There you go. Bill Belichick. It's funny to me how the folks that seem to dislike the media the most show up in the media. Bill Belichick is going to be an analyst on Inside the NFL this season on the CW network. It's his third, significant media gig for the upcoming season, because he's also going to be a weekly regular on the Pat McAfee show, and he will be on ESPN's Monday night Manning cast. And again, I mean, secure the bag if you've not already at the age of 72. It just feels a little hypocritical to me, for the way he treated media members to suddenly, not have an issue with drawing a check in such a capacity. So, but
yeah,
I'm sure his insight will be welcomed and valued and that kind of thing. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, it's and we see the similar with Saban, right? Obviously getting in the mix here. Belichick's, he's going off the rails. He's got it with the media now. He's got his internet blowing up. The 24-year-old girlfriend he's got now. I mean, Belichick is just doing kind of like Costanza. He's just doing opposite day. Everything is upside down with this guy. So I don't know what's going on with Bill, but yeah, he's certainly making the rounds in the media appearances this fall. It's going to sound like
living his best life, I guess. When we were talking about Greg Berhalter and the U.S. national men's team, we mentioned their loss to Uruguay in Copa America. And we told you that we'd be coming back to Uruguay before the end of the show. About a dozen Uruguayan team members went into the stands Wednesday night at Bank of America Stadium over in Charlotte following the team's 1-0 loss to Colombia in the America semifinals.
This was crazy, and I watched this match last night, and it was a wild.
Did you watch this?
There was a fight already going on the field, and I stayed with that to see if it would develop, and it kind of fizzled out. And then as I changed the channel, I pull up social about 10 minutes later. I don't know if Fox actually showed. They had already gone back to the studio, I think, at that point. But this was insane. The match was just bonkers. And then, it's Malice at the Palace 2.0 just in Charlotte. I didn't know that there were that many Colombian and Uruguayan fans in Charlotte, but they were raucous last night, and it was kind of quote unquote tame by fight standards. Nothing will live up to the Malice at the Palace, of course, but
thank goodness
it was still pretty crazy to watch. As anytime you see players with jerseys going in the crowd, it's never really a good thing.
The crowd of 70,644 was about 90% in favor of Colombia. But a small patch of Uruguay fans fought with Colombia supporters as beverages were thrown. Team members then climbed a staircase into the crowd, and Darwin Nunez was seen hitting a fan in Colombian team colors. Team captain Jose Jimenez said players went in the crowd to protect their families.
Liverpool players, man, you can't trust them.
Yeah, this is a disaster. Our family is in danger. We had to get into the stands to take out our loved ones with small babies, newborns. Everything was a disaster. There was not a single police officer. Ooh.
The clips that I saw, there's just one or two security guards, and they're just kind of almost hanging on for dear life. They did look like they weren't ready to enforce much. They were like, hey, we don't care if you fight, just don't try and fight me. Is what it kind of looked like.
This is beyond our pay grades. So, hey,
and that translates to any language, partner.
No question. We mentioned the Mystics defeating the Fever yesterday. We mentioned it on the show, and then we mentioned it in the rundown earlier today. Washington with an 89-84 victory, but another historic stat line for Caitlin Clark in that loss. 29 points, 5 boards, 13 assists. She became the WNBA's first ever player to record a game of 25-plus points, 10-plus assists, 5-plus rebounds, 5 steals, and 5 threes in a game. And they lost. But she is certainly having a monster year.
Crazy stat line.
Surprising, I don't guess.
Yeah, this will be the norm probably. She's going to get better and better, and these numbers will continue to be pressed, I think.
That's going to do it for Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Tomorrow, we will be live from First Horizon Park down in Nashville as the Sounds continue their series against the visiting Iowa Cubs. We will be joined by Sounds infielder Wes Clark, so be sure to join us at 2 o'clock tomorrow. We'll see you.